Hello, I'm Locke Meredith. I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines, where my guest is immigration attorney Ana Sardi. Ana's going to talk to us about basically her personal story, coming over to avoid being kidnapped by guerrillas in Colombia as her brother was kidnapped. She's going to talk to us about the difficulties of immigrating into America and how the system is frankly broken and what she thinks we need to do. So join us on the next Legal Lines with immigration attorney Ana Sardi.
One of the reasons I love this firm is that the moment you walk through the doors, you're so much more than business. You're family, which means we're going to fight for you as if you're family.
Most of the people we represent come from past clients who have referred friends, family members, other people they love to us to represent them in the same way we represented the persons who referred them.
We all pull from each other's experiences, knowledge, expertise in the law so that we get you not only a solution to your problems, but the best solution that we can come up with for your problems.
Knowledge is power, and the folks who know what they're doing empower you. They enable you to make the right kind of decisions that best serves you. And that's our number one goal, frankly. Our number one ministry is to serve you.
Hello, welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith, and I'm very pleased to have on the show for the first time a very special guest, Ana Sardi. Ana, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. All right, so you're an immigration lawyer, and immigration is something that I don't know anything about. So I thought this would be really interesting for me and hopefully other folks, since immigration is such a big issue that we hear in the media and elsewhere these days. It's a very hot potato political item. So kind of first of all, give folks a little bit of your background.
Absolutely, Locke. Thank you for having me in your program. It's an honor to be here. I am a U.S. citizen by naturalization, meaning I became a U.S. citizen. I came to the United States when I was 18 years old, and the reason that I came was because my family had been threatened by the Colombian dissident group called the guerrilla over there, the FARC.
Right, I remember.
And my oldest brother had been kidnapped by them. So I am the youngest of...
So you were next.
I was next. And actually, I'm the youngest of 7 children. I'm the only girl. And at the time I was 18, then my brother was actually rescued by the military, and that just made these guys even madder. So they started telling my dad that I was going to be next, and I was going to college over there at the Catholic school over there. So long story short, Loyola took me in New Orleans as an emergency, and I came here with a student visa.
So you were allowed onto the shores of America via a student visa.
Right, through the Loyola University basically issued what's called an I-20, and the Embassy of the United States in Colombia, in Bogota, Colombia, gave me an F1 visa, which is a visa to come as a student. So anyway, I entered the United States, but the interesting thing about this, Locke, is that my mom's an American citizen, and so were my maternal grandparents.
So aren't you automatically?
No, isn't that crazy? So no, my mom had lived all her life in Colombia, and she actually never thought that we were going to come live in the United States. So she would have had to do this very convoluted process in order to give me citizenship as a child. And since my father was not an American, he was Italian, and they had lived all their life in Colombia, there was no easy way to do it. It was actually faster for me to come into the United States as a student. So that's what I did.
So that's your first kind of collision with our immigration system.
Correct.
So have you lived in America since that time?
That I have. And so later on, I met my husband, and he is a physician. So
and for the record, it's Dr. Jorge Asasa.
Right.
He's an orthopedic physician.
Correct. And he was studying at Tulane at the time, and he had a different type of visa. It's a visa that it's called a J1, which is for people that are highly skilled and that are coming to the United States to study. That visa actually has a requirement that you have to return to your home country for 2 years. So long story short, he finished his training, we got married, we had to go back to Colombia for 2 years, and actually at the time we thought we were going to stay there for good, because by that time we had 2 kids, and that's our home country, and we both come from the same city. And so we did that. but then he got a job offer back in the United States as a specialist. And so that employer gave him a different visa, which is called an H-1B, which is for
specialized
people, right? And so
worker.
Exactly. So we had to go. They petitioned for him, and that's a whole very complicated process where they have to show to the government that there's no other American that could take that place. So after they showed that, then they issued him the visa, and then we came back. And that was in 1994, and since then we've been here. After that, we became legal permanent residents, and after being legal permanent residents for 5 years, we applied for citizenship.
Okay.
And you have to do a test and all these things. Our application got lost after Katrina.
Oh,
so all of our papers, because the office in New Orleans that handled our case was completely destroyed.
Right.
So anyway, it
took you how long to become a United States
We became
citizen?
U.S. citizens in 2009. So I entered the United States in 1988. So imagine.
It's a long time.
It's a long time.
And so you are now an immigration attorney and actually practice with a former LSU professor.
Correct. So I actually started at LSU. I went to law school as a second career. Loved it. I'm passionate about it. And in doing that, I actually always thought I was going to do either med mal defense or commercial litigation, because my background is business and finance. Mm-hmm. And my law professor, who's now my law partner, at the time heard me speak Spanish. I speak French, Spanish, and English, right? And he heard me speak Spanish, and I said,
No Italian.
No Italian. I need to learn Italian. But he said, with your skills in Spanish, you should come and help us in the detention centers. And I said, what are you talking about? He says, well, Louisiana has all these detention centers, and we need people that can translate for us.
Interesting.
So,
and I don't think folks, Ana, have any idea the quantity of folks that we have that are put in detention centers here in Louisiana, and I assume it's because we are so close to the Mexican border. I mean, there's two ways to get into America typically, Canada and Mexico, right?
Right, that's true. And so the United States has different, let's call them hubs, like Atlanta's a hub for Delta.
Right.
The United States has different hubs for deportation. And interestingly enough, Louisiana is one of the largest. About a few months ago, ICE, which is the Immigrations and Customs Enforcement, built an airport in the Alexandria area. And they have planes that they fill out every week with people, and they transport people. We house...
Meaning they deport them, or they're bringing them here?
No, well, they're bringing some even from the north, from all over the United States.
So they're bringing somebody who's come in illegally to the detention center.
Right, so they actually can come from the border, or they can be people that have lived here for many, many years that they've detained, and then they bring them to Louisiana as a processing center, let's call it that.
Yeah, I actually have a friend who recently went through this.
So
good man, and
yeah, it's crazy. And
it's here legal. It's here legal, but anyway.
That's right, and that's the once you're there, you're in the process of being deported. So anyway, Louisiana houses 3 of the largest deportation or detention facilities for undocumented or illegal immigrants, or people that actually are legal but have committed a crime. Anyway, anybody who's in the process of being deported from the United States.
Okay, so bottom line is we're a hub.
We're a hub.
Because we have so much traffic through here from, I
Correct.
presume, illegal immigrants. So kind of based on your story and from everything I've read and heard about this, the immigration system is just broken.
It is very broken.
So
It's sad.
explain to me why it's broken. We were discussing earlier, President Obama seemed like he was sympathetic to a certain position, and then President Trump seems sympathetic to a different position, seemingly polar opposites. I'm not really sure they are. I think the bottom line is most people want to help immigrants. We just want it done legally. So why is the system so messed up?
So the immigration laws are very broken. It's, what we as attorneys know as an administrative law. And there's the statute that guides you, that's the law. And then there are other rules within the agency that are complicated, and all of it together doesn't really mesh.
All right, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith with Legal Lines. My guest, Ana Sardi. We'll be right back.
One of the reasons I love this firm is that the moment you walk through the doors, you're so much more than business. You're family, which means we're going to fight for you as if you're family.
Most of the people we represent come from past clients who have referred friends, family members, other people they love to us to represent them in the same way we represented the persons who referred them.
We all pull from each other's experiences, knowledge, expertise of the law, so that we get you not only a solution to your problems, but the best solution that we can come up with for your problems.
Knowledge is power, and the folks who know what they're doing empower you. They enable you to make the right kind of decisions that best serves you. And that's our number one goal, frankly. Our number one ministry is to serve you.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. I'm pleased to have on the show for the first time Ana Sardi. She is an immigration lawyer, something of which I know nothing, so you're educating a lot of folks, Ana. So we previously said the system's broken, the immigration system is broken, and Americans don't want to keep immigrants out. Bottom line is most of us come from immigrants. We just want it to be done legal, the right way, both to help people if they're in fear of their lives like you were, or because it benefits America, economically or otherwise. So kind of take me through the process. I'm standing at the Mexican-US border, and I want to step across and be legal. How do I do that?
So for the legal process, you actually have to have a basis to come to the United States. So what are the bases? A family petition, so somebody, your spouse or your child or someone like that could petition for you.
That's already in America?
That's already an American
Okay.
citizen or a legal permanent resident of the United States. Then you could do it by a work visa, and there's a zillion ways of that. You could do it if you have special skills, if you're a scientist, an artist, an athlete, there are all kinds of visas for those kinds of folks.
Okay.
There are other humanitarian ways, like you could come legally if you need medical treatment for a short period of time. You can also come legally with a tourist visa, to visit the United States. You can
Or
come,
student.
Or student. So the options for legal, but you have to have a basis. Once you have that basis, you actually have to go to the embassy to process in order for them to stamp your passport, and the embassy is the Department of State that will allow you to stamp your passport, and then you present yourself at the border, whether it's at the airport with the officer or at the bridge if you're coming from Mexico, and those guys, which is the Customs and Border Protection, will allow you into the United States. It's called an admission to the United States.
So you have the statute enumerates, sets forth various ways that you can be allowed once you ask to be allowed to come into the U.S. If you meet their criteria, they let you.
Correct.
And it ranges, there's all kinds of different
All
criteria.
kinds of different
Okay.
ways.
Now I'm standing at the border and I'm terrified, or I just want to come to America because I want to try and better my life, or I could be a bad guy, whatever, okay? But I step over the line. Now what happens?
So remember, our borders are protected. There are patrolmen, the Customs and Border Protection, that are patrolling our borders, and there are the same guys that actually greet you when you're coming from an international flight behind the counter at the airport. So those same guys, some of them are patrolling, and then you have ICE, which is the police for immigration, and they're also patrolling that area. In the immigration law, there's a buffer area, let's call it, that's 100 miles from the border. Okay?
From our border?
From our border,
Okay.
whichever border you're talking about.
Going both ways?
Going both ways, and at the airport. Actually, if you arrive at the airport, you're within that 100-mile buffer area. If you are caught by, okay, I arrive at the border and I want to cross. Most likely I have to pay someone to make me cross the border, because remember, there's parts where there's a wall, there's desert, there are rivers that are very dangerous. It's extremely a very dangerous place. There are people that are there to traffic people, to get money, to kill you, to kidnap you. You're together with all those people.
Which is another reason why you want this to be an organized, legal methodical system, and so you're protecting human beings who are trying to get over here from these criminals and
Correct.
evil people.
And
is the
I mean,
bottom line.
Whenever you have an illegal system, all it creates is a black market for all kinds of illegal things, right?
Now, you know, there's a big issue, you know, in all media these days that, of course, President Trump is saying we need to build a wall or some type of additional security buffer. So I know it's your position that you know, this is secure and everything. I know there's a lot of people that don't believe that, though, right?
Well, let's say they're working to make it secure, and we need to make sure that we help our government to keep America safe.
So that's
okay?
one component
That's one
of fixing
component
this
of fixing the
immigration system.
But on the other hand, the United States, I mean, you just have to drive around, you know, construction sites, or go to California and see who's picking the grapes, or who's working the land. You know, there are some jobs that Americans don't want to do for different reasons.
And you know, a lot of folks were saying that over the years, and I didn't know the answer, okay?
Right.
But the truth is, now I'm reading that we are at full employment.
Full employment.
We're at full employment, and so that argument seems, the argument that now we got folks that want these jobs, and they're not getting, American citizens aren't getting these jobs because we have illegal immigrants. That maybe doesn't seem to carry as much weight as maybe it would have before.
Correct, and the point is that people don't want to be illegal, okay? I mean, I deal with it all day with my clients, but you know, it's very scary to be illegal. Your life is on the edge every moment. If you have children that are born in the United States, you know, they won't ever be able to petition for you if you're illegal. First thing, people think that if you have kids, they could make you legal. That's not true. Okay, but also your life is on the edge every day, because if you get stopped and ICE comes and picks you up, you're going to get deported. So life is not good like that. I think if we could,
It's gotta be miserable.
it is very miserable, and it's very scary, and it's scary for families, and it gives that potential of separating families. So you need to make, you know, a possibility for these people to come into the United States legally, produce, contribute to the country by paying their taxes, their dues, whatever. And then most of them would like to actually go back home to Mexico or wherever they're from to continue being with their family. So there are those kinds of visas. Most of the seasonal visas, like the people that cut the yard, or there are, but there are not enough of them. And the process is crazy convoluted.
It's so interesting too, because another argument that I hear is that, look, we have tens of millions of illegal immigrants in America, and we truthfully can't even tell you how many. I've heard numbers 20 million, 35 million, nobody really knows. And it seems to me that is another indication of how broken this system is, that we've got this quantity of folks, millions, that we don't know where they are or who they are, and we can't monitor them, and we can't make sure they're contributing or bringing to America services and contributing and benefiting and all of that. It's broken.
Right, and some of them, I mean, if you imagine you come to the United States and you've been here 20 years, you most likely have U.S. citizen children, and most of them actually have created a business, because you don't have to be legal to create a business, you just have to apply for a business license. So a lot of them will have businesses, have created jobs for others, but they themselves are not able to be legal in the United States.
So I've also heard that the children are a way, and you brought it up earlier, that they can be used to render someone who is an adult legal. Explain why that's not true.
So that's a myth, okay? What's called the anchor babies is a myth. There's only very limited ways where a child can petition for their parent. The one is actually if the parent entered legally on the first place. Then once that child turns 21, he can petition for the parent. Okay, that's the easy way. The other ways are complicated. You have to be in deportation proceedings in order for that child, as a humanitarian way, be able to get you and stay in the United States.
Now, what I'm hearing a lot too also, that folks are showing up and they're claiming asylum. So let's discuss that on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith Legal Lines. My guest, immigration attorney Ana Sardi. We'll be right back.
One of the reasons I love this firm is that the moment you walk through the doors, you're so much more than business. You're family, which means we're going to fight for you as if you're family.
Most of the people we represent come from past clients who have referred friends, family members, other people they love to us to represent them in the same way we represented the persons who referred them.
We all pull from each other's experiences, knowledge, expertise of the law, so that we get you not only a solution to your problems, but the best solution that we can come up with for your problems.
Knowledge is power, and the folks who know what they're doing empower you. They enable you to make the right kind of decisions that best serves you. And that's our number one goal, frankly. Our number one ministry is to serve you.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. Pleased to have on the show for the first time Ana Sardi. We're talking about immigration. She's an immigration lawyer here in Baton Rouge, so let's dive back in. I hear about the folks coming across and they seek asylum and they're abusing the system, and then folks pretending like they're parents of little kids to try and somehow get in and stay. Explain whether or not any of that's accurate.
So some of it is accurate. I was talking earlier about the 100-mile buffer.
Right.
It's called, if you are caught within that area, you are subject to expedited removal, meaning that you will be deported without even seeing a judge or showing your rights.
So I step 1 foot over the border and I've gone 99.9 miles, but I don't get across, I'm out of here.
You're out of here.
Unless.
Very quickly, unless you claim asylum. And if you claim asylum, there are a whole bunch of other rights that attach to your claim and allow you to at least, show a claim for it. Originally, the first part of the claim, you're just given an opportunity to file for it. Then later you'll have your final hearing where they will figure out whether there's merit to your claim for asylum. But that's got to be done in front of the court later in time. So it is a way for those people to be able to cross that border and remain in the United States for a certain period of time while the process in the court is going on. And the dockets for the court are so filled up.
Well, that was my next question.
Yeah.
I mean, everything I read is that this whole judicial system is completely overwhelmed.
It's overwhelmed.
We have years and years and years before hearings occur, and or if they do finally occur, the folks aren't showing up. It's an administrative process, so there's no control. It's all individual judges deciding how they're going to handle it. It's just a mess.
And
so what do we do, Ana?
I think we need, Locke, it's one of those things that everybody talks about, but truly Congress needs to do something about it, because people don't try to come to the United States for no reason. I mean, they are coming because either they're scared for their life, or because they really have financial hardship, or because they have humanitarian reasons to come to the United States.
I do remember, though, reading there are some bad apples that come in,
Certainly.
some bad people, and of course that's I guess, are you going to keep everybody away to keep? I guess it's just this collision between wanting safety and security, but wanting to still help people when they genuinely need it.
But
And
that's
how do we do it?
Right, and
we got to monitor.
We
It's
got to
gotta be
monitor.
legal.
You have to be able to issue certain types of visas for people that want to come here and work and contribute to the economy of the United States. You have to make it easier for the family process to happen. If you're you're a U.S. citizen and say that you weren't married and you fall in love with somebody who's a foreign citizen, the process for you to bring that spouse is crazy.
Really?
And so, the process.
So what specifically would you have Congress do? I know we haven't had any changes
to talk about
since
DACA or any of that.
1996, right?
To
President
change,
Carter.
oh my goodness. So 1996 was one of the big overhauls in immigration law, and we're due for a new one, okay? It's definitely broken. I think we need to do something about the people to be able to enter the United States to work legally, and so that you can monitor who they are and have them contribute. And also you have to fix the family part of it. Anybody that has family in the United States, we need to keep those families together, okay? Of course, there's the other issue, which is the children that were brought in the United States with their parents. Those kids need to have legal status. All of those kids, the ones that
All these issues are political hot potatoes.
They are very hot
because
potatoes.
Americans, there's a large percentage of Americans who believe we're rewarding bad behavior, illegal behavior, and we're also potentially letting folks come in, take advantage of our social, safety nets, so to speak, whether it's healthcare, education, all this stuff, and we're paying for that, and they're coming over here and use it. Is that true?
So I guess let's say it's partly true, right? Because we really can't, and I hate to politicize immigration, and I try not to, because I am an immigrant myself. I came here the legal
One
way,
of my
like
best
I
friends
explained.
came from Colombia too.
Right. So, I deal with my clients who suffer every single day for being illegal. So I think, these people, we have to acknowledge that a good portion of them contribute to this country in a good way. A good portion of them are parents of United States citizen children that we don't want to separate from their parents. If we take away those parents, those kids are going to go into the welfare, and then we are going to be paying. It's a bigger problem. So we need to be able to keep families together.
So in your head, you're chopping up the folks who have already been here for a significant period of time. They need to be dealt with some way, and then a new system be developed for the folks who want to come in.
Correct, and you have to fix what's there, because the reason that it's so crazy and it's so political is because it's so broken. Because if the rules were there and we could go to a book and open it up and say, okay, this is the law, we gotta follow it, and it would make sense, and it would be easy, and it would be a process that would yield good results, then we wouldn't be having all these issues.
Now, is it realistic to, because in my head I'm going, okay, well, wait a minute, this means hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars to fix this, right? Probably need tons of more court staff and administrative judges and board of people and all this stuff. And so I'm going, okay, well, so can I make the immigrant who wants to come in and live in the U.S., can I make them pay part of the cost to want to come here?
They pay part of the cost.
Well, explain that to me.
So they already pay part of the cost. Whenever you...
That's if they do it legal though, right?
Right, and even if you do it illegally, Locke, interestingly enough, the people at the border that are crooks are the ones that are making the money. It costs an illegal immigrant to cross the United States at least $10,000.
$10,000.
$10,000, and with the risk of, if you're a girl, you're going to be raped. If you're a man, you're most likely going to be kidnapped and ask for more money.
Ransom.
It's just.
And then once you
bogged
get
down.
in America, you still got these criminals on this side, right?
Exactly, and then of course you're always with that thought that you're going to be taken away. These are human beings, y'all. So these are people that come to America looking for opportunities, but also because they're scared or because they can't really provide for their families. It's not, people don't immigrate to another country because they're doing great in their own country. They don't. And so as American citizens, we have the responsibility to keep our country safe, but also be humanitarian, because our country was made of immigrants. And we need to make sure that we provide the tools so that illegality goes away in its majority.
And so the bottom line is, it's good for America, but it has to be organized. And number one, we have to know who's coming in, how many are coming in, and we have to be able to know where they are.
Correct.
And we have to confirm that they are contributing to our society and not just taking from it. Agree?
Right, that's agreed.
And so when it's all said and done, what would be the top 3 things that you would have Congress do?
I think I would work on all of the things related to work visas to provide, legal ways.
You said we don't allow enough workers in?
We don't have enough, and the
And that's the
categories
reason
are
we
very
have
limited.
illegals come in?
That's the reason.
If we had more visas, would the ones who are coming in illegally apply?
I would think so, and if we make it easier, the process is complicated. Really, right now for unskilled workers, the visas are very limited. And when I say unskilled workers, I mean people that are not
agriculture.
Like scientists or such.
Okay.
Otherwise, if you're in agriculture, you can come in.
Ana, thank you very much.
Thank you,
It's been
Locke.
very educational.
Thank you
Appreciate
very
it.
much.
This is Locke Meredith Legal Alliance, my special immigration guest, Ana Sardi. Thank you for being with us.